Get this 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.
John Howard.
Oh, dear.
What's going on with that bloke?
Sexy?
As you know, he's standing in Parliament saying anyone who associates with Brian Burke, anyone who's morally corrupt can leave now, and there's just a chorus of voices behind him going, oh, well, I'll be leaving then.
Yeah.
You know, the sound of chairs being pushed back.
Doors slamming.
You people are shonky over there. Then behind him, I've got some shares, actually. I've been printing things on stationery I shouldn't have. Yeah, I helped him with that.
Jesus,
yeah, I think I might have met Brian Burke once as well.
Ah.
Everyone, it seems, in Parliament is up to something.
Well, it's in Canberra, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, of course. You think that's the answer?
There's only so many times you can drive past the porno and fireworks store before stepping in.
Well, listen to this in today's paper. John Howard attended an intimate fundraising lunch with a violent Brisbane pornographer who was then facing charges of torture and grievous bodily harm.
Yeah.
This is kind of, people are saying John Howard's looking a bit old, basically, because the Labor Party is sort of pushing to the front of the queue a bloke who looks just like him but 20 years younger.
Yeah, they got a spring chicken. Real spring chicken in that Kevin Rudd fellow. With his Kepper pants and his baseball caps and his rap music?
No, basically, it's like John Howard is Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter.
Good.
And Kevin Rudd is like the younger Hannibal.
That's a good idea.
From the earlier film.
And I'm sure they like that comparison.
I'm just thinking, don't shy away from this one, John.
No, John.
Show up at the press conferences with the arseless chaps on, with the gimp gear. Embrace it. People will love that. I mean, look what's going on in Israel. Have you seen this bloke here? The Israeli ambassador to, I think, San Salvador, Cyril Raphael. Does that sound right to you?
Okay. Yeah,
Cyril?
Yeah.
Cyril's wedding. I'll just read from the pages of The Age because they've worded it perfectly. He's accomplished at putting a gloss on delicate subjects, be it Tel Aviv's nuclear program, the treatment of Palestinians, or the invasion of Lebanon. But when police found him in the yard of his embassy's residence in El Salvador's capital, San Salvador, smooth talk was not really an option. For starters, there was the gag and rubber ball in his mouth. There was also the matter of Cyril being drunk and naked and bound in straps and surrounded by sex toys.
It's the cereal life.
Talk your way out of that with the gag in and the ball.
Mumble your way out of that.
There's a good explanation. I can explain. If Howard, now that he's hanging out with the porn king,
I see what you're saying.
if he would show up at a press conference, bound, gagged, ball in the mouth, leather gear,
dildos
straps,
akimbo,
drunk, and dildos arrayed across the front of the stage, that bloke is getting my vote.
Oh, you really? That's all it's going to take?
As you know, I abstain from getting involved. But if Howard will show up in the cereal gear, bang, I will vote for him.
You're a man of principle, Tony, and I like that about you. That's all it took for you to get involved in politics? Dildos, rubber balls, getting smashed?
Bit of teabagging. Wow. Go for the populist vote.
Yep.
Other sex news. Uncle's orgy shame in Warsaw.
Ah, yes.
A pensioner is suing the organisers of a world record sex session after they reneged on a promise to pixelate his face in the video they made of the orgy. Now, if you're taking part in a world record attempt orgy, probably going to be some footage, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's
probably going to be some film of it. They'll be needing that in the Book of Records. You can't just say you did it.
No, I've been saying it for months. They won't believe me. His nephew got hold of the DVD. That's how he got caught. So his nephew's watching it and he's screaming, "Come on, everyone, come and look at Granddad in the porno." I mean, there's therapy right there for the kid. So he's got a few years. Apparently the granddad's like, no, you guys got it all wrong. Yeah. I thought that was the pension queue. I thought it was a soft sandals queue. I had no idea what a fluffer was. I thought she was checking my Centrelink form, I thought she was making sure my Medicare was in order. Friendly.
Very strange when people get shy all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you see like a porno actress with tan lines, you think, well, you're having sex on screen, but yet you can't take your top off in your own backyard to get an all-over body tan. What's the logic there?
And what did she say back to you?
Yeah.
When you floated that one.
Keep away from me.
Yeah, she wasn't happy.
You've had your photograph, now move on.
Okay, let's move on to crime, shall we?
Yeah.
You want to do that now? I've got to be careful here because this is one of them cases that's still in court.
What does that mean?
It means that you've got to put the word allegedly in from time to time.
So you could get sued for this?
Possibly. I don't want to talk about the case itself. Just one little detail. It's going on in Brisbane.
Okay.
The Brisbane teacher accused of building bombs in his bedroom. Okay, we don't want to get involved in that.
That's not our territory.
Who knows if that's true or not? Just
me.
one detail caught my attention in yesterday's Australian.
Yes.
He allegedly used a phony licence bearing a photograph of Michael Chiklis, star of the US television show The Shield, to buy explosives. Wow. Now, the man concerned is conducting his own defence, and he challenges the police claim that he used a photo of the well-built, shaven-headed actor to buy explosives. Now, think about that. Either he did, that's pretty funny, or he didn't, and the police have made that up. I mean, what an odd meeting that would have been at the police station. I don't know how can we get this guy who say he showed up as the Thing.
Okay. Yeah, good. No,
That was Michael Chiklis. He was the Thing in the Fantastic Four. Yeah. He was the commish.
Yes. He was the commish.
He was John Belushi in that awful movie of Wired.
That's right.
And now he's Detective Mackey in The Shield. So he's fairly well known. Hey, have those explosives come in for the Thing yet? The Thing's here. He wants his bombs. I put them aside for the commish. I tell you, the commish was here before.
In Los Angeles, an Iraqi national wearing wires and concealing a magnet inside his rectum triggered a security scare at LAX. Officials said that he posed no apparent threat. So that means that he's at home going, gonna get a plane today. Yeah, off to Philly just to visit some friends. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Wires, good.
Yep.
Strap them to myself. This magnet, geez, my bag's full.
Just pop it up there.
Quite a big magnet. Probably going to need it in Philly. Quite a few things I want to magnet there.
Well, the giveaway was when he had drawings that his kids had done hanging out of his anus with a magnet.
Okay, just pizza menu stuck to the back of his pants.
That's right.
Like, how big was this magnet? Are we talking fridge magnet, or are we talking the giant cartoon U-shaped deal?
I like to think U-shaped deal, that it was kind of down like in his legs, and sniffer dogs were just getting slammed into him by their collars. Left, right, and centre. Ching, 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 ching. When he went through the metal detector, he just dragged it with him. Excuse me, sir. What?
What sort of plan is that? That's as idiotic as showing up at an explosive factory with a picture of you as the Thing and saying, hand over some dynamite. I've got a magnet up my ass.
No apparent threat.
How are we going for Criminal of the Year? We've got the jockey with the dildo in the pants, giving the fake Euro sample.
No.
We've got the footballer sculling the bottle of suntan lotion off somebody's back porch.
Oh, the box of sand.
The guy passing off boxes of sand as a computer. This is going to be a glamorous ceremony at the end of the year. The guy with the commish on his ID. What a pantheon of criminals.
Just dragging all of the awards away as he wanders off the podium is the guy with the magnet up his ass.
This is in the US. A guy who's been accused of drink driving, crashing his truck into a lamppost, told police a unicorn had been at the wheel when it careered off the road.
Not something believable like a horse.
No, a unicorn. That's the thing. It's so specific.
He's gone,
Which unicorn?
if I say horse, they'll track the horse down. They'll find that there was no horse.
Yeah.
But if I say unicorn,
Best of luck finding that guy.
The crash was actually witnessed by 2 police officers. The guy still insisted a unicorn was driving when he slammed into the street lighting shortly after running a red light.
Are they
Amazing
interviewing
story.
the griffin that was sitting in the back seat?
very tricky driving if you're a unicorn. Firstly, the hooves.
Firstly, the hooves.
And then the giant pointy thing.
Giant horn.
Banging into the windscreen all the time.
Ridiculous.
You need a car with more horn room than any other car in its class.
I mean, what if the airbag goes off? It's going to be punctured by the horn, and it's not going to help the unicorn.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. You wouldn't bother installing an airbag in a car driven by a unicorn.
Insanity.
What are you thinking, man? Listen to this. Mike has called up. Has a story from Te Awamutu in New Zealand. Hello to Te Awamutu residents.
Yep.
Listen to this. A girl got pulled over by the cops, and you know that thing where you go, oh, I'm pissed. Switch places. The passenger's not pissed.
Quickly.
The police saw her swap places with the passenger. Her dog.
Ah.
That's a good one. The dog was driving. Wasn't me.
Oh.
I breathalyze it.
Yeah.
I don't trust that dog. Please, a round of applause or something for Andrea Powell. Oh, hey, she's not Z list. What are you doing?
Sorry, my apologies.
She's way above the Z list.
That hurt. That's smarts, Richard. Stop it.
I tell you what's got good cut through. A fine new book, Strain Your Gherkins by Ethel Shop. as dictated to Andrea Powell.
That's right, just dictated to me.
It's in the shops now, isn't it?
It is. It's available in all good bookshops.
Great read. I love it.
Oh,
But the
you
thing
can't.
is, though, that you can't help but do Ethel's voice when you're reading it. You can hear Ethel in your head as you're reading it, and then before you know it, you're reading it out loud.
Oh, that's good to know, because the people that published it at Penguin have never seen or heard of Ethel, so God knows what they were thinking when they were editing it.
Why did
They
they
just
ask
think
you?
I'm rather odd.
Why did they want it?
And they said that they thought it read well off the page.
Oh, very nice.
And I don't really know what that means.
Now, how old is Ethel Chop?
I'd say she's an octogenarian.
Right.
That means she's in her 80s for those who are under 5.
And is she one of these people who would have a secret to longevity? You know, people who always... You see someone who's 100 years old on the news and...
Snifter of brandy.
Yeah, snifter of brandy. It's a popular one.
That is
Sunscreen.
Yeah.
3 glasses a day.
No, that's for Geelong footballers.
Oh, sorry.
I think Ethel's way to stay feeling young is to pay out on the young.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a form of exercise.
Yes, exactly. So instead of waking up with, bran flakes and doing an exercise routine, she hurls snails in the next door's pool or pours some oil onto a skateboard ramp. But, my grandmother was very old when she died. The women in my family live very long. She was 100 years old and
Wow.
100 days.
100 and 100.
100 and 100. And I reckon her secret to life was a diet, write this down,
Yes.
is a diet of sugar, alcohol, fat and DDT. He just couldn't kill that woman. She's also incredibly vain.
Yes.
She had a hearing aid, but she never wore it. Never wore it.
Didn't want to
And
wear out the batteries?
I don't know what it was. I just think she thought it made her look old. And that's when she was 95. And you'd open up a hearing aid box and there'd be like biscuits in there. And we'd be like, Nan, where's your hearing aid? She'd be like, would you like a Monte Carlo? She was a scream.
Do you remember my favourite show business rumour of the recent years was George Burns?
Oh,
Remember, everyone was, behind him to get to 100. And then he hit 100 and then he died. And the story is that he didn't get to 100. That he
Really?
actually died 49 days shy of 100. And there was a bit of a cover-up to sort of fudge the figures.
Weekend at
A little
Bernie's
bit,
style.
that's exactly what I
Bit
was
of Weekend
thinking.
Bernie's.
Well, you could have just stuck him in a chair and wheeled him around. No one would have known.
Take him to the beach. Put some sunglasses on him. He won't decay. He'll be He'll stay lovely for a whole
Seen being
weekend.
dragged behind a speedboat just weeks before his 100th. But I wonder, did he really make it to 100?
Shocking horror, another cover-up.
Yeah. Australian Gherkins' Ethel Chop's Guide to Living in a Modern World is in your bookshop now. It's full of good advice.
Yeah, it is.
And Ethel herself is here to give our listeners advice. Who's going first, Ed?
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Ethel, I'm in year 12 and finding it really hard to be motivated about my work.
Well, what's the problem? You're just
Well,
lazy, are you?
Yeah, that's my problem.
Well, what do you do instead of working, Tim? Sit around and fiddle with your gonads, no doubt. Look, the truth is, you kids, you're all so lazy and unmotivated because you don't have anything going on in your lives. I mean, we didn't sit around picking our noses when we were kids because we lived through the Depression or we were having our legs blown off by a kraut. It's amazing how motivating that can be to get moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Thank you, Tim.
We will send that man a copy of Australian Gherkins.
He needs his ears boxed with 2 tins of beetroot, that one.
Always works.
Hi,
Yeah.
Chris. How are you?
Mrs. Chop, I need to ask your advice on. I've got a 12-year-old daughter she's insufferable. I just cannot get her to do any of her chores.
Oh, she doesn't help out around the house?
No, not at all.
Oh, look, that's a really annoying thing, isn't it? Because is she nearly a teenager?
Almost a teenager, yeah.
Oh, what a revolting age. Isn't it a shame you can't lock them up until they're adults? Look, I've got a couple of things you can do. For example, if she just doesn't pick up after herself and she leaves soggy towels lying everywhere, well, just tell her it's not a Chinese laundry. Pick up one of her soggy towels, turn it into the twisty kangaroo tail thing, and give her a good hiding with it. And, if she doesn't get that, then you put an iron bar through the middle. Believe me, she'll get the hint and soon tidy up after herself. Don't reward this sloppy conduct. I mean, they're children, they're not amoebas. That is, they have arms and legs, don't they? All right? Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Chris. Finally, David, how are you, sir?
Ethel, I'd like to ask some advice. I want to propose to my girlfriend and I want it to be sort of a bit original.
Original.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Well, my husband, Reg, proposed to me, and it was that romantic. Oh, you know, I was on the porch of our farmhouse, and he was over helping my father remove some manure. I believe, or unblock the septic tank. I don't know, something like that. And anyway, he popped up onto the patio in his Hessian dungarees and his mud-encrusted boots, and he turned to me and he said, "Hey, Eth, how's about we get hitched and sprog up?" And I said, "Oh, Reg, how dreamy." And he said, "I'm that starved I could eat a bird's bum through a cane chair." And I said, "Oh, well, I'll go and fix you some grub." So I came back with some stuff, and he ate it all up without comment or complaint. And I thought, I think we're going to get along well, us two, and we did. So there you are. That's nice, isn't it? I mean, I don't really know what you had in mind, but I think a girl likes it when you get straight to the point. How's her cooking?
Pretty good, actually.
Have you had any sexual intercourse yet?
Lots.
Oh. Well, why are you bothering to propose when she's already given it away for free? Is she in trouble?
No.
Oh, all right. Good luck to you. How unsavoury.
Slobodan Milosevic's daughter has hired security guards to protect her father's body from vampire hunters. Apparently, vampire hunters have already made one attempt to drive a wooden stake through the former dictator's heart to stop him returning from the dead. Milosevic is buried in the front garden of his former home in the northern Serbian town of Unpronounceable. Firstly, is he coming back as a vampire? What's going to happen then? He's knocking on your door, he's a vampire, and you're just going to go, Slobodan?
Slobodan. Come on, mate. It's over. You know what? It's over. Come on, mate. Come on, back in your box, chocolate. You know what I mean? Come on. Come in and watch a DVD. Just relax.
Vampire hunters. I didn't know he was accused of vampirism.
I didn't know that was one of the... In The Hague, I didn't know those are the charges he was answering. Can I see your teeth, sir? No. No, you can't.
They don't show up in mirrors, the vampire.
No.
That's right.
So when you think about it, a vampire never really knows what his back of his head looks like. No. How embarrassing.
And Slobodan, it was a bit rough back there. I do actually remember thinking, geez, what a war criminal. Someone do a touch-up back there. Someone get the little trimming scissors out.
Giveaway, do you think?
Great giveaway.
Vampire! I'm calling him a vampire.
I'm just surprised that there are so vampire hunters everywhere. Listen to this. Speaking of vampire hunters,
Yes.
Michael Jackson's parties that you paid $4,000 to hang out with him for, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not such a bad deal. I was thinking 30 seconds, $4,000, that sucks. But
Yeah.
before you meet him, you get to watch several, count them several, Japanese Jackson impersonators perform his songs.
Probably way better than he's capable of.
Can you imagine? We get one bloke to do a few songs. That's insulting. We'll get 6 guys to do one each.
So hang on, so you're paying $4,000
Yep.
and it's not even Michael Jackson, it's a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Yeah.
I'd be handing over Monopoly money. That's what I'd be doing. If the real Michael Jackson gets up, you can get some proper coin.
Maybe it should be like the various faces of Michael Jackson. If you've got 6 impersonators on the one bill, Michael Jackson over the years.
The stage is off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, granted, the one who plays the Michael Jackson now has done a lot more work to keep up.
Fair enough.
Here's a big story. In New Mexico, in a bid to discourage drink driving, authorities have installed talking urinals to persuade drinkers to take a taxi home. A recorder installed. Where would you think it would be installed? In the urinal.
Should be on the floor.
No, they've gone craftier than that. A recorder in the actual disinfectant cakes in the urinals is activated by a motion sensor when a man prepares to, as the paper puts it, make water. This is what the urinal cakes say back to you.
Okay.
Hey there, big guy, having a few drinks? A female voice tells the astonished drinker, it's time to take a cab home or ask a sober friend for a ride. Remember, your future is in your hands.
Hey.
Indeed it is.
Not bad.
Hey, that's a voiceover, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's an audition I didn't know about. I get my agent onto this.
Everyone would have been going for that one.
The talking urinal, that's a sweet gig.
Have you ever seen a urinal cake that wasn't quite right?
That guy would have been going for it. But, you know, if the urinal cakes are talking back to you, you probably have had enough. That'd be a giveaway, I think. Does it matter what they say? Do they need to go with puns?
I thought they'd been talking for years. It's just new technology. Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Hey, books. Well, I think the Miles Franklin Award long list is out.
Oh, no, Tony, they're doing about 3 hours on that later on. On Triple M today.
Okay, yeah.
They've cut all the Grand Prix and they're nothing but book awards. So Book Awards Friday.
I just don't know why my book isn't in there. I know it didn't come out in the last year,
No.
and it doesn't qualify in any way. But you'd think somehow,
Bend the rules a bit.
We've got a thing of my book on our website down the bottom of the page.
Yeah, I know.
People think it's a joke. They think, oh, it's hilarious, that.
Tony wouldn't write a book.
It is out. You know, the problem is it's meant to be in the humour section.
Yeah.
That's what it says on the back, humour.
Oh, is it in the biography?
Yeah, they've put it in biography.
Self-help.
Yeah. Self-help.
Next to the Atkins diet.
Good luck. It's supposed to be in humour, nuzzling up to, Who Farted?
Yeah.
And Dave Berg from Mad Magazine looks at the lighter side of.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it should be.
Yeah.
Instead, it's over in biographies, cuddling up to Jesse Martin's book. Getting wet. When you buy it, the pages are soggy.
And to be honest, his story's quite inspirational.
Yeah.
Whereas yours is funny.
Well, no, it's really for aspiring typographers, aspiring amateur theatre actors.
Kerning enthusiasts?
Kerning enthusiasts have written in to say, because kerning, it's too hard to explain.
Right,
It's to do with typography. People say, hey, you talk about kerning in your book, but there's some pretty poor kerning on page 147. 14th line down, Martin. Have a look. Pot kettle. Sorry about the kerning. Can I pronounce this guy's name? Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
What's he been up to?
Oh, he's confessed to a fair bit of terrorism.
A fair bit?
Yeah, a fair bit of terrorism. The Channel 10 News in Melbourne last night had a fantastic coverage of it. They very somberly announced that this bloke had confessed to several terrorist attacks, and then they cut to footage from a fashion show. It's just a woman on a catwalk going, is that him? He's a master of disguise.
He's looking good.
He's always fabulous.
Runway ready, that bloke.
True confessions. Let's have some. Ben Lawson was on the show yesterday. While Ed was out of the room, he confessed something about Ed. You didn't hear it, Ed.
Well, I was practicing my my phone call from that dude, Nick.
Have we got the clip here?
I think we do.
Basically, the gist was that he doesn't engage in any self-abuse because he feels it makes him a worse lover.
Right.
Absolutely dead set.
Is he coming back yet? Is he running back?
Okay, so wait a second. I've walked out,
Yeah.
and then what he's gone, right now he's gone, listen to this.
Yeah, sure. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, he's just gagging, though, isn't he? He's just gagging, isn't he?
Oh,
Just
he's
so.
gagging.
Is he just? Because I was sitting there thinking, hang on. So, like, if he's an actor, like, Ed would do no rehearsals because...
Pretty much.
Oh, okay, so the theory works for acting.
Well, look, all I'll say is Ben Lawson is a criminal, and that I don't know how he got on Neighbours.
Well, you came back into the room and claimed that he wets his bed
That's
at the
because he
shape
looked funny.
of
He
a
was-
racing car.
Yeah, he was looking at me funny, so I knew he'd done something.
Okay.
Dear, oh dear, Lawson. Well.
Have a think about what you want to say.
Interesting phone call we're going to
I'm
have.
going to make a major confession. This is really embarrassing, but Danny Boyle was on the show the other day. Couldn't have been nicer.
Lovely bloke.
Director of Trainspotting. Director of a new film called Sunshine. You'd seen it, Richard.
Yep.
Ed, you'd seen it.
Yep.
I went along to the screening the other night. I think it was Monday night. We start the film. It's about 20 minutes in, and I realise I haven't set the video for Late Line.
Uh-oh.
And I needed Late Line
Yeah.
for the next day's show.
Yeah, for the interview.
So here's what I did. I went, I'll sneak out now at the 20-minute mark.
Yep.
I'll call up Ed, ask him what happens, and then I'll just pretend that I've seen it when Danny Boyle comes in, and then I will go and see it properly, which I have since done.
Yes.
Because you were there.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, you just...
But it was either, there wouldn't have been the cheap Costello gags the next day
And I
if I
can't-
didn't get Late
I
Line.
don't want to live like that.
And you
I
don't
wanna
have a-
live in a world without Costello gags.
And you don't have a VHS recorder. You don't even know what one is anymore.
Whoa,
Your
when did-
house, there's no VHS at your house.
What is this? All attack Ed Day? Jeez.
You're too busy abstaining to know what a VHS is. Well, how long have I been asking you to tape a bit of Carl Stefanovic?
Oh, right. Now,
Yeah.
listen, if you want to come over
Yeah.
and try and sit through that with me, then you're more than welcome.
But here's
It
what's
is
happened.
almost impossible.
So I've snuck out of the screening at the 20-minute mark, and I'm driving home, and I'm saying to my wife, I hope it isn't like, that famous story in England of the theatre critic who reviewed the play but wasn't there. And he did the review and he went, rubbish, these actors as bad as ever. And then it turned out that the theatre had burned to the ground and the performance hadn't occurred. Bloke lost his job. I'm going, do you reckon something like that could happen? Next day, Danny Boyle comes in and I say, I loved your film last night. And he's going, you were at the screening? And I'm going, yeah. And he goes, wasn't that a disaster? And I'm going, yeah, it really was. And then the next day in the paper, it says that after 45 minutes, one of the reels went missing The one they put on was upside down, so they abandoned the screening completely, and Danny Boyle had to get up and answer questions about how it ended.
And just tell them how it ended, and you were scrambling.
You have never seen a guy backpedaling. He's going, right, so you were at the 400. I'm going, yeah. Was there a second one? I might have been in the other theatre.
So you were there. So you were there. You saw the whole film.
And then Ed is making shadow puppets on the wall to try and distract Danny Boyle.
I was getting him something to sign. Sign this train spotting.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Hinder?
Sign my buns.
How embarrassing. But okay, there, I've got it out. I feel better having said it out loud.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I've got to confess in advance. Some things are going to happen to Ben Lawson over the weekend.
Mr. Marsland, do you want to fess up to something?
But mine sounds so lame now compared to the Danny Boyle.
Come on.
Okay,
Marsland.
okay. Well, when I was
Is this all part of your white anting?
No, when I was in year 11, I was doing my photography class. And,
yeah,
love photography, great subject, and in the dark room.
Yeah.
And it was the last week of school, and I let off a stink bomb, like one of those sulfur stink bombs
yeah.
you crush underneath your feet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the threat of detention to anyone who knew who did the stink bomb, it was me.
It was you.
Yes, and I shut up and never took the rap for it at all.
What school is this?
Christian Brothers College in Adelaide, Wayfield Street.
And at that school right now, someone is getting down the file and marking it closed. After all these years, we can finally put this cold case to bed.
I can retire happy now.
Tony Wilson is sitting in for this hour, and Tony, I have never, in all my years of radio, met anybody who's got a ratings book.
Yeah, I got one.
How did that happen?
Hang on.
Well, it was a door knocker, and I've become hard in recent years, both with phone canvassers and also door knockers. So I was screaming down the corridor to my partner Tamsin, "Send them away, send them away!" And she's saying, "No, don't worry about it. Back to me." And because she knows, as soon as the person's introduced themselves as a radio ratings person, that I want in with them, particularly as I do a community radio show in the mornings. And so she butters them up and gets the books, and we get to fill them out.
Now, can I just ask, you say community radio, is that part of the ratings, or are you part of other?
Well, you're in other. You've got to write in your own frequency. Say you run something out of your backyard on a pirate frequency, you could put that down as an other. And I did that with Triple R in Melbourne. But what I did also do is, over the years of being an author and broadcaster, have met a few people who now do shows. Yeah. And so I've gone through the grid and filled in my friend's shows as not missing a minute of it.
So just explain how are the ratings determined? So someone has a book.
The whole day is marked down in different brackets. So, for example, 6 till 9, and it's just there. And each quarter hour, there's a box that you can cross off as to what station you're on. Right. And so for the Triple M box, it's got 105.1 written on it.
Yes,
and so you match that up between 11 and 1, and you just cross those squares out. And so I did that. It was when you were 9 till 10. So I listened to every minute of your show for a week.
Good on you.
But not only that, I was on air from 6 till 9 in that period, and I was listening to my own show, except for the 20 minutes that my friend does a report on another station. And so I was effectively, if someone analysed what I was doing, I was breaking away from my own show to listen to my friend's segment.
So, in effect, you're saying that the rating system is a complete shonk.
Well, it is open to the abuse.
Can you feel the foundations of this building shaking? Our whole lives are based on this. Don't stop believing the castle will collapse.
That's right. I'm sure I'm the only person who's ever filled in a ratings book who's lied.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you?
Really good, man. Tell us your interesting sporting fact.
Mate, there's a story about Robert de Costello when he was winning a marathon. He was way out in front and he ran into the drink station and he grabbed the bottle. Instead of putting it in his mouth, he put it all over his legs and down his pants and his shirt, and he was rubbing his legs down. And for months afterwards, everyone was copying, so they thought it was some new way of cooling themselves down for the run, but it turned out he actually had diarrhea and he was trying to cleanse himself.
Yeah. 82 Commonwealth Games running against Juma Akanga. I remember the diarrhea run very well.
Did he
Stop it with those sound effects, Mr. Barlow.
Did he win, Tony?
Yeah, he did.
Won.
Oh, he won.
He did win.
Do you guys remember the big kangaroo that they drove around the stadium?
winking kangaroo.
And she winked at you?
Yeah, great.
That was like the height of pyrotechnics at the time.
It's amazing.
One eye slowly descending and then going back up.
They still show it, and it's still impressive. And she's at Wet n Wild on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Matilda's got pride of place next to... That's all I know.
Well, Robert de Costello, Wet n Wild.
You can catch many a footy trip at Wet n Wild around September.
Don't follow Deeks down the slide. Tony Wilson is here with us, and what have you noticed in the parliamentary area this week? A lot of mud being thrown around. Have you seen that?
I like the guy who's in a bit of trouble, which is Santo Santoro.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a senator reminds me of the bit in Catch-22 when Major, he'd been named meanly. He'd been named Major by his father as a joke, and then he got promoted as a joke to the rank of Major in
Just
the
so
army.
that he could be Major.
Well, I reckon the same thing's happened with Santo Santoro, that he's become Senator Santo Santoro because Australia needed that in terms of alliteration.
Prime Minister John Howard's plane was forced into an emergency landing in war-torn Iraq last night when it became apparent the in-flight movie was Wild Hogs. No, that's not true. Did you see him screaming out of the plane?
Yeah. So much smoke, it was like Ray Fiennes was getting up to a rather busy session.
Smoking it up.
At burning rubber.
I love the Prime Minister's outfits too. You know, he has a selection of costumes. You've got normal suit.
Normal suit.
You've got visiting farmers. The sort of tweedy greenish suit with the elbow patches.
And the farmer's hat.
You've
freshly pressed.
Meeting the army, the leather jacket.
Oh, yeah,
He's just copied that one off George Bush, the leather bomber jacket.
Digging the bomber jacket.
And then the Gimp outfit for round the house. He's got all bases covered. But did you guys see Peter Costello's press conference yesterday?
No.
Oh, it was pretty chilling. Have a listen to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by reassuring you the Prime Minister is safe. You must have seen the footage of him running from the plane, screaming like a schoolgirl, waving his hands in the air. I mean, sure, some might suggest that that's, not prime ministerial behaviour. Maybe there's someone else, someone who might have done a better job of emerging from that plane. And someone with perhaps a better grasp of the economic fundamentals. But that's not for me to say, and I'd rather you wouldn't suggest such a thing. Well, the fact is we're all slightly distracted by, obviously, the assassination attempt. And, it's over now. Rudd's been foiled. And, ask yourself this. Where was Kevin Rudd on the weekend? Who's to say he wasn't in Baghdad with a ground-to-air missile? Well, okay, maybe he's, controlling it from back here, in a restaurant in Perth. He's sitting there, Brian Burke's working the joystick, Tony Mockbell's, navigating, Bradley John Murdoch's over at the salad bar, throwing in suggestions. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past Rudd and his cronies. Well, what are you people pilots now? Eh? I mean, it's a plane. It's full of smoke. I mean, it's a confusing environment. Who knows if it was smoke? Maybe it was, a swarm of killer wasps that Rudd and Burke and Mockbell have, released from the overhead lockers, by remote control. Who's to say that they weren't planning to redirect that plane towards, an orphanage full of kiddies? And where's the team of inspectors round at his house looking for killer bees? I mean, wouldn't that be the place to start?
What about, Mr. Costello, we're on the point, what about these accusations about the death of Kevin Rudd's father? The hospital.
Well, what exactly was the young Kevin Rudd up to?
But at the hospital,
I'm sure we've all seen that film, The Omen. There's a lot of loose ends that need tying up. Let me ask you this, who was known as Dr. Death when he was working in Queensland?
Yes, but sure.
Who's to say Rudd himself? Well, nobody would stop the question. It wouldn't be until, the garroted corpses of various members of staff are found piled high in an airing cupboard at the basement of the hospital that maybe people start to put two and two together. Who was that young Dr. Rudd we had in last week? Well, you wouldn't be able to find them because he would have burnt them in his incinerator, along with, his buddies, Mockbell and Burke and Hannibal Lecter. Fictional. You mean like the story of why Rudd got thrown off the farm? Oh, well, that's, we accept one fictional story, we turn our noses up at another. When we come around to election time and we say, do we want the common sense, hand on the tiller, steady as she goes approach of Prime Minister Costello, Howard, or do we want Dr. Death strapped to a gurney, using his tongue, which extends from his body a good 20 metres. He can strangle a kitty and slam them into a wall, splattering brains across a poor elderly person's pension book and calling that policy. It's time to have a look at ourselves, I think. A few people want that. Yeah, well, all I can say is John Howard is safe. Kevin Rudd is a murderer.
Where is your evidence?
Which piece of news are you going to report tomorrow? My guess is it'll all be about the plane flight, and there won't be anything about Rudd and the rotting, stinking corpses piling up in his basement. And, if you can't handle the truth, people, please stop asking me all these questions about Kevin Rudd. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
There are a number of unanswered questions.
Martha and the Muffins here at Get This on Triple M.
Are they still going? Rich?
I think one of them went on to play with Robert Palmer and a few other projects, but they had a lot of albums, Trance and Dance.
Yeah,
they had a follow-up single called Black Stations, White Stations.
Okay, well, I'm glad we found out what happened to the Muffins. That's important to know. But what about Pauline Hanson? David Oldfield was my lover, she says.
Oh,
dear, oh dear.
Gosh.
Disturbing imagery. It was at a Canberra motel as well. That's always. People in the next room just heard a lot of bed spring noise punctuated by, I don't like it. Hey, Pauline, here's what I'm going to do. I'm so sorry.
Please explain.
Well, Pauline,
let me demonstrate.
What a video.
I don't know, but this, and then he's making things worse today, Oldfield. He says, this is a quote, Pauline does not have a dress or anything else I left a stain on.
Just Australia.
That's just making it worse, David.
So what's he saying? She can't prove it?
Yeah.
That she can't prove nothing. Check all her dresses, there's no stains.
Why would you claim to have slept with David Oldfield if it wasn't true? What possible benefit could there be? Honestly, but he's married now to that woman who's on the catch-up every day advancing the cause of feminism.
Oh, okay. Her name's also Oldfield.
There
What's
you
her name?
go, well done.
Dragon?
Good on the Muffins, not so good on politics.
Oh, is that politics, is it?
Yeah, that's covered now. Oh, no, there's another big politics story here. Former Immigration Minister Amanda Vanstone has run up a bill of close to $70,000 for Chinese language lessons. Senator Vanstone said the lessons were part of her job as Immigration Minister, but she failed to impress a businessman from China with a speech in Canberra last year. He described her Chinese as excruciating. Apparently, after 8 months of lessons, when quizzed, the only Chinese phrase she could remember was "me no Reiki."
Oh, hang on. Is that racist?
Dear. Sorry. No, she's invented her own language. Took her 8 months. It's called a Mandarin. And it's just two phrases, me no Reiki and me Reiki. She just showed up at meetings and she would only use those two phrases. It was offensive.
Yeah.
Got her to where she is today, though.
Covers the whole gamut.
Oh?
Just quickly, Heather McCartney, Mills McCartney, you know her. She says she is not an attention seeker. She said that in an interview from the set of Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
I wish I'd made that up. That's such a good joke, but it's just true. Sometimes the news does the work for you.
Good idea.
Man, I've got something exactly like that. Do you want it?
Oh, let's hear it. Now, is this about people driving through
houses?
This is the great new craze here in Australia.
Oh, is it back?
Really,
they went quiet for a while.
Yeah, it hasn't been much since Christmas.
And there was someone who drove into a screening of Dreamgirls in the United States.
And no one was killed. No one was even touched.
This is from Adelaide. And listen, I'll just say that I hope this guy's okay because I'm not sure. He's been taken to the hospital. This guy has crashed into not one, but 4 homes.
4 in one go.
The driver, aged in his mid-70s, drove straight into a house on this corner.
Yep, gotcha.
Then his car hit the garage door with such force it pushed the owner's vehicle through another wall.
Oh, fantastic.
And into the lounge room, so a chain reaction.
It's great.
The driver then reversed and crashed into another house.
Yes, yep,
severely
good. That's
damaging the front wall, garage, and another car.
Right, that's 3 cars hit, 3 houses hit.
Yeah.
Shocked residents ran out to survey the damage and were horrified to see the man still driving. He swerved along the avenue before jumping the curb and smashing into the front porch of another residence.
Oh, it's the Gumball Rally. Sensational.
The man then backed onto the street before driving into a Stobie pole, 2 trees, and the front porch of another house.
Wow.
He then reversed again and drove more than 200 metres in reverse down the street before residents called the police.
There you go.
And remove the keys by force.
That is defensive driving.
Get that man to movie world.
It's amazing. He's just playing his own Grand Theft Auto.
Give him a show. Sack the police academy, clowns. Get this guy a go.
No injuries, I don't think, to any innocent parties. He's been taken to hospital. I hope he's okay.
You'd like to think the ambulance went through a couple more frontages on the way there. Maybe just drove through the front of the hospital just to tidy things up and keep the numbers good.
Amazing.
Get this, it's blown out to 2 hours, 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.